Okay, you all listen. Hey, welcome to the party that we just hit play on the podcast before we're even ready. I have a guest on and I'm like, how do I say your name? It's literally Kay. And he's got the best last name ever. If I can't pronounce Woo, I have serious issues. But we'll get into the intro later. But we were just talking about wearing the same, not the same exact shirt, but another exact version of that shirt. So you actually wash them. Why do you wear that shirt every day?
Wow. Well, this is actually a very good question. But one thing for sure is, as an entrepreneur, every single day you have a lot of things to make a decision, right? So you need to think through many different problems, but you don't want to start your day to think about what to wear, right? So that's why I just bought like 20 of these black t-shirts and then, stack on all my closet, and then I just pick it and I just wear. And then that's how I start my day.
Do you think the black, when you put the color black on, when you pick that, do
Yeah.
you identify with it? Like, what about the color? Does it matter? Was it intentional? What about it? Because I do the same thing.
Mhm. Well, black is easy. So sometimes, you need to do overwork, right? Like late night, like 1 a.m., 3 a.m. Sometimes you need to stay up all night, right? But if you wear black, maybe you can wear one more time next day. So black is always convenient,
They won't be able to tell if it is another shirt, but they might be able to smell it. You all, welcome to the podcast today. Tell us about this these late nights as being an entrepreneur. I think society has worked through the idea that being an entrepreneur is sexy and cool. I think we have now finally all accepted it's really hard. No?
Well, it's really, really hard. It's not sexy at all. Like what people see on the screen or news, that's a success story, right? Like there are like tons of entrepreneurs on the New York and your hometown and wherever. They're like living their lives really hard. Like look at me, like this black t-shirts, like I'm wearing this every day, and then like this lunch, I skipped the lunch, and then this morning I just ate the bagel, and you're like survival mode. Like you need to survive to change something. And then maybe after you change something, people start recognizing you. Then people see you as a successful, entrepreneur. But that's just the one finite, view that people may have. But what we are doing is actually infinite game. There's no ending in this.
What makes it so hard? Because, see, these words aren't universal words.
Yeah.
Right? Because your hard that comes from Kay's dictionary might be a way different dictionary that somebody that hasn't lived the hard.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so it's very hard to articulate what exactly it is, but again, like every single problems you try to solve every single minute, and you invest your time and resources, and one problem you solve, but immediately or maybe consecutively, like the next problem comes to you, and then like again, like when I first started my company, I thought well, so maybe a couple of years, if I built this product, and then if I can sell this product, then probably I should be able to purchase maybe Lamborghini, or, I should become a millionaire. But the point is, it is not actually. Every single day, you're actually struggling and to survive. And even after, let's say, you went through those kind of death valley, and then you still, every single day, you need to make a decision to survive long enough. And then if you don't survive long enough, then there's no chance that you can see the result, right? So hard means, to me, it's like realizing the infinite game of this entrepreneurship. It's like never ending. The only way that I can, yeah,
Go ahead. The only way.
Yeah, the only way that I can finish this is just giving up. I was like, one day, I was like, Mark, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Then that's the time that I can finish this infinite game. But until then, this game is going to be never ending. Yeah.
And don't you have to accept and believe that you're never going to give up to keep going?
Yes, that's true. Maybe like until the end of my life, I wouldn't give up. So I have my own mission. So like actually, to be honest with you, at the beginning stage of my startup life, I was like, I built the product to become rich. So the money was the only reason for me. But you know what? My first product, second product, and third product, all product actually, I wanted to become a millionaire. But I failed. All product and the project all failed. I failed to sell the product, and then I failed to convince people to use my product. And then like all of a sudden, like I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? Like I'm building the product to change something. I'm building the product to, help somebody. Doesn't it have to be my my mission and my goal? And then I was like changing my view, like rather than chasing money to become a millionaire, I was like, okay, maybe let's focusing on the first principle, the core problem that I can solve for the people. Then that changing of my perspective and the view of my entrepreneurship happened back in 2018. So like rather than focusing on money, I was like, okay, let's focusing on solving the problem of drivers. That's how I became like this old. Like I didn't have this much of a white gray hair on a mustache. Like I can't believe that I'm look at me like looks like I'm like 60.
You look younger than me, but hey, since we're talking about your company, let me give you an intro. We give everybody an intro, and then it'll be the launch of the company here. So today's guest is Kay Wu. He's the founder and CEO of TADA and Throo. It's TADA, and Throo is THROO. Kay has built businesses across mobility, payments, and tech. But what makes his story especially interesting is that he chose to enter markets dominated by massive competitors and compete with a completely different philosophy, which I'm pumped to dig in with today. So as the founder of TADA, he challenged traditional ride-sharing economics with a zero commission model designed to give drivers a larger share of what they earn. Along the way, he's navigated startup failures, which we just talked about a little bit, international expansion, emerging technologies, and the challenge of building trust in industries where trust is often in short supply. So, officially, Kay, welcome to the Necessary Entrepreneur.
Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, man. So what problem are you trying to solve right now with ride sharing? I touched on a zero commission model, giving more back to drivers. What problem did you identify that said, let me solve this? And then since you started there, how's that problem evolved and what's that solving look like?
Right. Okay. So, let me define the problem in a very simple manner. So as you know, like probably you've been using Uber or other big giant platform services. And then when you pay, let's say $100, and then in the end, like driver only take $50. It doesn't make really sense. And then this problem actually became worse these days. But back in 2018, like 2017 and 18, drivers still struggling. Like, they're paying like 35% of commission to the giant platforms. And then whenever I had a meeting with those kind of vendors and the drivers and the partners, their immediate question to me was, so how much would you take from us? It's like, this is actually a really, really threatening question for me as an entrepreneur. I'm here to support them, but immediately they're looking at me as a like, what's it called? Some kind of parasite.
Because when they said, "What are you going to take from us?"
Yeah,
and it's like, hey, that's the wrong conversation. And I'll hand it back. Shouldn't it be? Let me figure out a way to help you make more.
Exactly,
and then through that, let me make some profit too.
Right. So, but the point is, actually, I told them, okay, so I'm a good guy, so I'm gonna charge you lesser commission. Right? But lesser commission, so what do you mean by lesser commission? And the lesser commission is like, okay, so they charge, let's say 35%, but we'll go with 10 or 15%. They're like, well, but you don't have any demand. You don't have any user base. Then even if you charge lesser commission, then how can you help us to make more money? So that's actually very fair, counter answer for me. I was like, okay, so Yeah, lesser commission. I thought lesser commission is good enough for them, but the point is, they literally want to change the how they interact with the platform. But there's no solutions back then. And then I was asking around to my friends and people, and almost everybody is like, they're just following the traditional way of doing the business, like platform, like a high commission, or even at the beginning stage, even if you charge high commission, you give a high bonus, so that make people feeling that they're making a lot of money. But in the end, like they need to actually take the money back and also pay back to their investors. So those kind of equation is actually being used for over, let's say, several decades, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Then my next question to them and to myself as well was like, then what should I do? Like, if I follow the traditional way of doing this commission based platform business, there's no chance for me to fight against the big giant, right? They already set their rules and their pocket is like too deep, like billions of dollars on their pocket. Like whenever they want, they can just squish me like anytime, right? If I fight back to them, like with, let's say, all right, so everybody sign up with our service. I'll give you guys, let's say 50% discount on the first year ride. And then, you know what? Like those big giant platforms, they can just simply do it like immediately. So it's not sustainable at all. And also those investors and then VCs, they're very skeptical on mobility services. And then I was actually like one Asian guy, like try to do the ride hailing service in random places. And then how could they trust me? And then back then, even 2017 and 18, like those big giant platforms, they couldn't even make a profit. Their losses was like billions of dollars. And then there's no point for those investors looking like our review our service and then investing into us. I was like, okay, so then we were kind of stuck in between. So we cannot even convince those, drivers and the users, but also at the same time, we couldn't convince the investors as well. So it's like none of those side like try to be with us. I was like, then my next question is like, looks like we are going to die anyway. So let's think outside of the box. If we keep on following the rule that's set by the big giant platform, there's no chance for us to win. So I was discussing with my co-founder, my CTO, and then why don't we set up like new types of platform that nobody ever done before, which we could build some kind of platform that can give back the whole value that we're creating together as a whole network. So then if we can manage to build and deliver that, then we should be able to have certain market share like meaningfully. So that was the initial idea that we started back in 2018. And then ride hailing itself is less commission is not attractive at all. If you want to convince the market and the participants and the drivers and the users, you got to go extreme. Either you have a deep pocket and spending a lot of money to fight back for those high commission model, or you should go as a completely zero.
Yep.
So
here you are. So here you are. So that's the problem, right? What most people quit at that moment. Because it felt helpless, right? You're like, how in the world? So if you were just chasing money still, like in the earlier ones, you quit at that moment, right? Yeah. So what kept you going? Why did you keep going then?
Wow, this is actually a very, very deep question. I just okay. Well, this is a very difficult question. Also, you just touched my like very deep inside of my pain that I had before. So when I was in high school, I always wanted to build the product or business that helping people, but also at the same time, I was greedy. I want to become a like rich person. And as a country boy, like I'm born in Korea, and my hometown is actually also like 2 hours drive from the Seoul, like capital city. And like as a small country boy, like you always dream big, like you want to do something new, but I couldn't have a chance. But I got lucky to get into a good university in Seoul. And then I get to see many people, and then I see the opportunity that I can do something. But again, I couldn't do it. And after that, like I started my company, luckily here in New York back in 2012. But I got married around that time as well. So I have my son on my side, and then like my family is actually really supporting me and my dream. And my wife was like, she's like, okay, you should keep on pursuing your dream. And then she's the one who's actually keep on helping me, even if I couldn't make any money like over 3 or 4 years. She was like, do it, chase your dream. I support you. So she was the one who's actually sacrificing for me, and then I was the one who's chasing the dream, right? But if I give up my dream because of, I don't know, here and there small problems, and then if I give up my dream so easily, then those 3 or 4, 5 years of sacrifice of my family is like, it became nothing, right? So I was like, there's no chance for me to give things up. And then that also gave me an energy to find a way to survive. But again, like with this whole thinking process helped me to set up my like philosophy again. Like rather than focusing on making money or being rich, like really, really solving the problem for people. So that's how I ended up like now talking to you here.
And not quitting. So
Yeah.
what happened when you got to the intersection where you had to make a decision? Like, we can't compete doing what they're doing. So we have to change and do something. So what happened at that decision moment? And that brings us here to where we are today.
This is actually really good questions. And also I want to share this to all other entrepreneurs as well. If we keep on following those kind of circumvents or existing players, way of business model, there's no chance for us to flip the market share or win the game, because they're the one who set the rule already. Like how to acquire the drivers, how to acquire the customers, how to make people to use service, how to maximize your profit from the let's say users, user data, and then all those kind of rules and mechanism is like there's no way that you can break, because those big giant platforms and then big companies actually they've been building that service and platforms and technologies over 10 years, and then I just start the service. Now how can you compete against them with the same playbook? So if you want to actually change the whole game, or if you want to bring the impact into the market, you got to have a different playbook. Otherwise, again, like with just one click, they can just simply squeeze you like right away.
Mm-hmm. So what's your playbook? Did you realize then you had to design and write a new playbook, or did you start thinking like maybe it should be different? Was there this big moment that you stopped playing by the same game here, and the next day it happened?
Yeah. So on a decision day, all right, guys, let's do this way. So we're not going to follow the existing platform playbook, like with a high commission, like 20%, 30%. We're not going to do that. Again, like let's think outside of the box. So rather than charging them, let's give all benefit to the participants, starting from the drivers. So normal ride-hailing platforms, actually, those big giant platforms, typically they define their customers, riders as their customer. Mm-hmm. Drivers are not their customer. Drivers are actually just one of the disposable unit for them. So they just simply deactivate driver's account. Like if there is any false accusation or a small mistake, they just simply press the button and deactivate the account. That's the also very, very known issue like these days. But rather than defining those riders as a customer, we define drivers as a customer. So we're building the software stack that help drivers to earn 100% of their income. And then by doing so, drivers actually can provide a better service to the users, which is riders. So driver as becoming our first primary customer, and the rider become our secondary customers. That's how we set up this triangle relationship. So after setting this up, then we go even more extreme, not just the defining the customer in a different way, but also we're giving 100% of benefit to drivers. That's how we start with a 0% commission. But let me give you one explanation of how we became like 0% commission ride hailing service. So 0% commission cannot be given just with one simple decision. It's a common sense. If you cannot make any money from, let's say, your business, this business is not going to sustain long enough. Then how can you survive? Like 0% commission, many of my friends and investors and, those industry people like asking me a question like 0% commission, how can you survive? So what I told them is actually we built the infrastructure network of drivers. So when we are building this infrastructure network, we are actually building this on top of the blockchain. So blockchain infrastructure helping us to create the mobility protocol. And with this protocol, we can actually record all these drivers' contribution. And then by doing so, we can give them a more benefit, like 100% of their income. And then while they're participating into this network, actually, the value of network is actually growing together. So we introduced this blockchain protocol with our crypto asset as well. And then this asset actually grows together with the network growth. So that's the one way that we can actually capture the whole network value into our protocol. Then this ride-hailing service of TADA and Throo, 0% commission, this is the channel that we are actually attracting all these drivers into our infrastructure network. So by making this way, we can actually build the largest driver network without spending too much money. So past 3 months here in New York, I visited LaGuardia Airport parking lot and JFK Airport parking lot and talked to the drivers. And over this 3 month period, we've acquired over 50,000 drivers. Drivers actually keep on joining us. And then they're like, we need the competition. We need the new app. And then 0% commission sounds good, and also we need to bring more riders for them. But this is really working. So that's how we built the whole system. So 0% commission didn't come by itself. It actually comes together with a blockchain infrastructure underneath of it. And then these two combined together, we're building actually one largest driver network.
That's awesome. So as a consumer, is it as simple as, would we feel something different? There's a bunch of ride sharing companies now, but the two big ones, if we have the TADA app, right? So we have the app, and is there a different experience, or is it something that we can be familiar with to the consumer, to the user base? It feels like, oh, this is good, and I like participating in it because more money's going back to the driver. What's the call to action for the consumer?
So again, like user experience in terms of application usage is exactly the same. You just call the call and then you get matched, and then you go from A to B, and then you pay the service fee. Drivers, on the other hand, like no commission here, driver actually take 100% of their income here. So that's the big difference. And then with this process, actually, users also can save their cost though. So now, like I gave an example. There's one case that here, for example, here in New York, one driver actually told me the story that his customer actually from New York to like a 1.5 hour ride outside of New York State, and then he received $150, but customer paid $350. So this is actually like real problem here in New York, and not just only New York, maybe a whole US market here. But driver side, for example, we can uplift their income. For example, in this case, we can actually charge lesser, let's say not 350, maybe 250. Yep. And then we give driver like over 200 and 230. We need to pay a certain amount of tax. So after deducting the tax, we can make everybody happy. So that's the mechanism.
Is the driver in control of that price at all, or are you in control of that?
So we set the pricing table. Drivers don't set the price on our system. So we calculate the routing and the minutes, and then we set the price. And then with this pricing table, we don't take any commission. Yeah.
So how many cities? So if I fly to Miami, is it in Miami? Is it in New York? Is it in Boston? Where are we at? Are we just New York City? Where are we at?
So now we're in New York, but also Denver. We are actually servicing together with the cooperative Colorado. This is actually a new experiment actually we did here in US for the first time. So we're not going with our service brand. We're actually giving them support of our software and then let them run our system. And then those drivers group in Colorado, they can actually run the service. And this service is growing every single day.
That's awesome. How many, is this in South Korea as well? I bet you activated in Seoul.
Not yet. So actually, I'm a Korean. It happened to be I'm the founder of Korean but Singaporean company. So our headquarters in Singapore. So we're servicing in Singapore, Cambodia, Vietnam. Where else? Thailand, Hong Kong.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. So what do you think this becomes? So you're trying to get to a tipping point, right? Where it just is adopted. Everyone knows about it. When do you think that happens? Like you have these goals on when does it become adoptable and consumers are downloading app and knowing, because to a consumer, if it's the same service, but it's like maybe I save 20%, that's a big draw for a consumer spending.
It is.
Right.
So again, like our playbook is actually different from those big giant platforms. When they go into the new market, what they do is actually they burn billions of dollars, right? To make everybody know about your service. But we don't do that. What we do, we build our let's say driver base first, and then let drivers become the marketer because they're the one who's actually running their own business on top of our software. So they're the one who's talking to their friends and families.
If they're making more money using your service, they would want everybody they know to log in and grab them from that.
Exactly. Yeah.
100%.
So like you mentioned that 20% cheaper, for example, then rider, what they need to do is actually they need to try our service 1 or 2 times. And that's it. So we don't even need to keep on giving coupons and promotions to the users. They can just simply download the app and try 1 or 2 times. To initiate such activity, we need to spend a certain amount of marketing budget, but it's not ridiculous amount of marketing budget. You may be surprised at how much money that we are spending for the marketing. It's very marginal.
Very small. So what do you do? Let's talk about the metaphorical elephant in the room.
Sure.
So I was in Atlanta.
Okay.
And I ordered a ride from one of your competitors.
Yeah. Okay. Big giant. Yeah.
And a driverless car showed up known as a Waymo. And it's the first time I had ridden in one. And my brain first went, wait a minute. But I said, okay, let's go. I'm adventurous.
Okay. Yeah.
After it, for the next 3 days, I was there for a conference. After that, inside that app, there was something I could check that I choose a Waymo more frequent if it's available versus a human driver because it became very comfortable. So what does Kay running TADA, what do you do in this new world of this driverless thing coming online? Does that concern you as an entrepreneur? Where's your brain at?
I don't concern at all. Actually, I think this is actually inevitable future. It's going to happen anyway. You can't stop this. So it's going to happen anyway. And then look at yourself. Like you prefer that quiet, like driverless car. Like you want your own privacy, right? So it's going to happen anyway. But my next question to you and then to other people as well. Who's going to own this vehicle? Who's going to maintain this vehicle? Like, is there anybody who thought about the unit economics of this AV? As of now, per AV, we need actually 2.5 people to maintain one vehicle. Ride-hailing vehicle is just only one driver that you as an owner, you maintain your own vehicle, right? But AV unit economics is not there, but unit economics of AV is going to become like a one person can maintain a whole vehicle. It's going to happen anyway. But again, go back to the question, who's going to own the vehicle? My answer for that is drivers. So by helping drivers to own AV, then we can actually reduce the operational cost. We can reduce the maintenance cost at all. So you as a driver, for example, you purchase one AV, which, for example, let's say the Tesla's Taxi, the price wise is like less than $20,000, right?
Yeah.
You can own this robot, right? You can just buy one, and then you can let this vehicle work for you during the day, and then after finish working, then it can come back to your home, and then you clean the car, you charge the car. Whenever you need, you can use it. So ownership of this vehicle, AV, I believe that this should be distributed to the drivers and individuals. And then eventually this will, demolish the wall between the drivers and the users. And then eventually all users going to be the owner of AV. So that's the future that I'm looking into. And also these kind of vehicle ownership program or tokenized asset program that we are actually experimenting in Southeast Asia and Japan. So we are actually tokenizing the vehicle ownership or vehicle cash flows ownership and piecewise it and selling that to the investors in Japan. So for example, let's say drivers in Cambodia, they need a vehicle, but they don't have any credit history. But we know how much money that they're making through our platform. So we help them to get a vehicle, and then we rent this vehicle to the drivers. And then this cash flow, we are actually selling this cash flow as a tokenized product to Japanese investors. APY is like 18%.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. So good. So what do you think that you being the entrepreneur that you are, you're never going to quit. Your family made all those sacrifices to prop you up. Because even if you sold one that became economically just outrageous in the value, you sold it, someone came and offered you a check that's just astronomical, you're going to do it again. I think so. Maybe not. Would you do it again? Are you at a place in your life where you wouldn't become an entrepreneur again?
Well, you've heard about this, like, from many other entrepreneurs. It's like, building the company and then being an entrepreneur is kind of like a drug. You cannot quit. So once you do it, you're going to keep doing it. So I would say, I would do it again.
But it caused your gray hair.
I know. So maybe like I can be more efficient if I do the second time.
Makes sense. What do you think where the economy is with tech? We just talked about Waymos, driverless cars, AVs, right? That really personally touches your space and your entrepreneurial venture. I mean, it's right there. Most of us we're finding ways to utilize it and integrate it into business. But what does the forward thinking what do you spend much time thinking about 2036? Because you just thought ahead to say who owns the car. I hadn't thought about that yet, right? But you're thinking ahead because it affects your business. Are you thinking ahead in 2036 about the world that us entrepreneurs are going to live in? Have you thought about that?
I do, but like not the broad scale. But I do think about like in 2030, 2036, then. Like, how is the transportation industry going to be at? And then, especially here in U.S. market, with the Waymo and then Tesla, it's going to be completely different landscape by that time. But the core question is always like my belief is the technology development should give a benefit to the people, not just one or two, biggest capital owners. So my answer for that, like AV, who's going to own the AV? I would rather have the future that those kind of ownership distributed to the individuals so that they can be the part of this, trajectory. And then we don't have to worry about them to being left behind. So they can be the part of this actually whole growth and the social development. So that's how I see it. Yeah.
That's how you see it. So you think your platform, you're already thinking ahead. You're thinking because you're already connecting some investors in Japan that want to actually buy the normal car. You're thinking in the future, your platform will still be something how it's evolving. You'll have the investor who will buy the AV.
Yep.
Then will lease it or rent it to the user, the person who operates they wash it at night, they maintain it. You think that your service can be the platform that all of that can work through.
That's right. Yeah. So that's actually what we are currently doing. So in Singapore, for example, there's a small island attached called the Sentosa Island. This Sentosa Island, we're going to run this 2 autonomous, shuttle, I would say, on-demand shuttle for 6 people can fit in. So there are 2 vehicles we're going to run, but per vehicle is like very expensive, like $1 million. So, but this vehicle, we want to distribute the ownership of this vehicle to our drivers in Singapore, and also allow investors to join the ownership of this vehicle. By setting this way, then we can actually distribute this future cash flow or benefit to those participants and the people. So we're actually running it and experimenting it, and then if this works well, then we're going to go at scale.
At scale, that means in Asia, possibly here in the US. Does that same model work here?
I think so, but we need to actually comply the rules of those kind of tokenization, asset tokenization. But if we go with this, lease and rental and cash flow tokenization, that's a little bit easier than asset tokenization. But here in New York, ever since I started the business here, running the service, and then many drivers and the industry stakeholders, they're asking questions about, how we can actually, tokenize those assets. Even those big giant insurance companies, actually, they want to package something together with us. So this is not just the simple demo. This is like a real world business being connected to this new world and new level of technology of blockchain.
So the tokenization, are these tokens that you create that are just out on the blockchain that everybody has a percentage ownership in? What's that look like?
So those drivers and then users, and they can also earn based on their contribution. That was the initial design back in 2018. But nowadays we are changing. We are actually going to introduce a new concept next week. This new concept comes with the Asian tech hailing as well. So, but I cannot give you the detail as of yet because we're going to send out the PL next week. But this whole users actually let me put it this way. As an investor, you hold the equity of the company, right? So then as an equity holder, you get to see the information of the company, and then you get the dividend. And then you can also participate in some decision, certain level of decision of the company. But as a token holder for the network, and then you can participate the decisions. You can also enjoy the benefit of, let's say, the value growth of whole network by holding this token. That's the concept that we are introducing, and then we've been running for past 14 years. Yeah.
So good. So 14 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, look at me, like my gray hairs.
You've taken most of it off.
I know. So again, like this, the reason why I shaved actually I had a long hair used to be, but I was like, okay, I don't want to waste my time to set my hair. So I was like, okay, fine, I just shaved it.
Let it go. So you mentioned, I think, a son earlier. It means he's a teenager now, right?
Right, he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is his experience in this new world of tech versus how we grew up? Like, when you look at him, how's he living? What's he experiencing? What's this tech world doing for him in these next generations?
He's like, these teenagers, and they're so natural to use the tools and, technologies. It's like ride-hailing service and application use is like so natural. It's just simple, and they just use it. And then, the ChatGPT and Claude and this all AI tool, it's literally changing how they do the study, how they find the answers, how they solve the problems. So that became a new normal. Like, don't you remember, like back in let's say 20, 30 years ago, we were like, what's it called? Not 20, let's say 30 years ago, for example, there was no smartphone, right? We use a pager or landline phone, right? But all of a sudden, iPhone introduced on 2007 and 8, and that changed the whole, perspective of how to use the internet and then, services. Those kind of moments already happen when the OpenAI introduced ChatGPT, and then my teenager is actually adapted, like without having any problem. So that's the situation. Like,
do you think this will be an app-based world because that's what we've been in, or do you think we're going to be off? We're going to be off app, aren't we?
Yeah. So again, like next week, we're gonna introduce the new way of ride hailing, which means you're not gonna need your application at all. So what I'm expecting, especially here in New York, San Francisco, and then those metropolitan cities here in the United States, in 5 years, I would say people wouldn't use an application. You don't need an application. You just need to have a smart agent on your phone or on your computer, maybe on your body. You never know. But again, you won't use an application.
How do you see would be as simple as maybe I'm wearing glasses. Maybe it's something embedded in my brain that Elon's working on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't comprehend just thinking of it and it happening. However, will it be as simple as, hey, can you get me the best value ride share that can take me from where I'm at now to this address?
Right. So this is actually a very passive way of using your agent. You're actually asking to your agent, how can I go from A to B, right? But your agent, you should not ask your agent. Your agent should tell you, hey, Mark, you have a meeting with K at 4:15 in Manhattan Times Square. And now you're at the office in downtown. I think you gotta get a cab right now. You gotta get a car. So do you want me to call? And then what you need to do is just simply say yes. And then your car is on your doorstep. And then you go for the meeting. That's it.
What's that world going to look like from a business owner, from marketing and branding, being the one that system selects?
So this is actually a very, very important question. By the time that people wouldn't carry application, branding and marketing is not gonna need it, I think. What kind of business can survive with this kind of changes? You gotta have an infrastructure that AI cannot replace. On our case, we have largest driver network. This largest driver network cannot be replaced. Even after AV became a new normal in this industry, it's going to take some time, like 5 years to 10 years to change all vehicles. We have billions and billions of vehicles around the world. You cannot replace every vehicle to AV as of yet. So while we are progressing into that direction, it's going to happen that way. And then marketing and branding, your application name, it doesn't really matter. Like your skill, your agent, you need to actually build the right message or right hook for the agent to find your service well. It's like different level of marketing on different level of, let's say, connecting.
Yeah. And then how are we going to get to know, how is my agent going to get to know that agent that then makes the decision that that's the ride share or the card that shows up to get me?
So again, like here's the thing. Your agent knows your preference. You prefer, let's say, even if it's expensive, I prefer the privacy. I want a AV. Then your agent will call Waymo, right? And my agent, on the other hand, I don't care those kind of things. I need to save money. So give me a cheapest, but with the decent quality. Like now, like we're sharing the driver pool together with the big giants, right? So then our service is cheaper, but quality is the same. Then my agent is like looking for those options and then give me the option of our service Throo and TADA, and then I can just use that service. So again, our question is more like our view and our question is actually based on our knowledge and experience. What your question is actually, we are actually asking to the question and then to agent and then, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? That's actually like very outdated question. Like our teenagers, and then they are going to use this agent in a different way. They wouldn't even ask a question. Their agent will ask question to them, and then it's going to be proactive agent. That's going to happen for sure.
If it's not working off of a calendar that you have input,
Mm-hmm.
do you think it's just going to know you? It's going to know your habits. It's going to know you based on the location that you are. It's just going to know.
Yeah, it's going to know it. So even now, our service and those big giant service users, and they do have a data. They know your pattern. Even now, right?
That's what AI is. That's what AI started decades ago. That's what AI was.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Machine learning learning is the beginning, and then now neural link, like the high throughput, is actually changing the whole experience right now. So, I mean, it's gonna happen. You can't deny this. But one thing for sure is, if you embrace this 100%, your life is going to be much easier.
So what do you think then? I'm thinking about a business owner. Then the ones who are going to win are the ones who are correct on predicting what the future is, and then and then building a business for it.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
You could do that. Yeah.
So
go ahead. Yeah.
No, go ahead with it. Take that idea. Is that the business owner is going to win? We're going to have to be good at prediction models to say we think consumer and human behavior is here, because what Steve Jobs said when he was building products and Apple products, I remember he was talking to was it Johnny Ive or he said he would go and talk to him and he would say, we're not solving for what humans tell us they want. I'm solving for what they don't know they want yet.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That's the way that you can actually make the like really, really enormous change. But as a small potato entrepreneur, I'm trying to solve the core problem, like known problems first. And then while I'm solving this known problem, then I was actually thinking ahead, like what would happen in 5 years later. So that's why, like I was explaining you, that this agent hailing agent thing is going to change the whole experience of people. And then I'm telling to my team members that, like, now we're caring about our brand design and our application design or whatever it is, but 5 years later, it's going to be obsolete. Like, no one going to use it. Maybe grandpa, grandma are going to use your application, but those teenagers, they wouldn't.
Yeah. What do you think will happen? Me being in the real estate business, talking about entrepreneurship. So do you own a home right now, a family home? Do you all own or do you rent? Is that okay? Is that too personal?
No, it's okay. So, but I don't own the asset.
So you rent. If you were going to buy an apartment, if you were going to, how would you start that process?
I would, very simple. So even now, I'm going to ask, I have actually 6 different agents. I do the 6 different jobs. So I'm going to do the chief of staff agent. So going to start like this. So I need a house in New York, but I also need to have a good education access. But also I'm looking for the safe area. Like all those kind of criteria I give to my agent, and my agent going to sort the information out and then give it to me. Right? But as of now, those kind of, let's say, platforms, they don't share the information. There's no data that they can actually pull easily. So as of now, this agent usage may not work, but at the certain level that I can get starting information. And then based on this information, as of now, I would ask you, hey, Mark, so I got this information and these areas is actually my candidate area. So can you help to search for a good house for me? Then that's how I'm going to do right now. But let's say 5 years later and even more years later, let's say you, Mark, as an industry player, you built this infrastructure database. You allow this database to be plugged in by those AI engines, right? Then these AI engines can do much more job. But you, as an infrastructure provider, you don't even need to answer the call. your engine, your infrastructure going to do the job for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the future, but you got to build that up. Yeah.
Yep. So at what point do you think we interact as humans in that? The future, well, not right now. In 5 or 10 years, at what point does the human touch the human?
The deal closing. That very, very delicate, nuance and the, communication that can only be done by human. The closing the deal is going to be carried by human for sure. But the whole process can be done by agent and the AI.
All right. So good. Through your entrepreneurial journey, we talked about earlier why you weren't going to quit and the inspiration behind it and the whys and stuff. Where does your purpose come from? I know you said you want to give more money back, but this came from, if we can't compete with the big companies the way they're doing it, why? We have to do something different. What was the driver for coming up with the idea to give almost all the money back to drivers? Was it just because we need to do that to be different, to have a business that succeeds? Or was there something else?
Well, so I would say yes for what you just said, but that's not the core reason. What I would say is, I don't know, it's maybe I'm too sentimental, but okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know, like, but I personally prefer to make people around me to be rich. So now I have, for example, here in New York, in my pocket, like my friends and drivers, like 50,000 drivers on my pocket. I want them to be rich. So whenever I go to JFK parking lot, and then I talk to, hey Jimmy, I'm here. Like, you made a lot of money last week, so you bought me a sandwich. That's what I'm looking for. This is a human relationship. This cannot be replaced by AI. So these kind of relationship that I value the most. So that to make this relationship is, abundant, you got to help them to be rich. Then if you do the job, or if you run the business like typical way, you cannot make them rich sooner, right? You got to go extreme. So that's why, like, I give everything to them.
Do people think you're crazy?
They do, yeah. And sometimes, actually, at the beginning stage of our opening service or each cities, they see me as a scammer.
Why
It's very typical. It's the very typical reaction. 0% commission is too good to be true, right? Everybody think that, like, oh, 0% commission? Sounds suspicious, sounds fishy. And then they're like, they're going to change their policy once they gain the, traction, which we did not. Yeah.
Is Jimmy, is that one of your biggest success stories? Is that one of your friends now? Is that a real guy, or is that somebody made up right now?
It's a real guy in Singapore. Yeah.
He needs to give you testimonials. He needs to document. I'm sure you're doing that with these 50,000 drivers. You're having them say like, "Hey, why does this make sense? Why have you appreciated this? How has this helped versus right?" I mean, that's how you have to have these receipts to carry out in the world to say, "No, I actually have receipts from what I've done."
Yeah. So I do actually. I did interview many of drivers here in New York and then JFK parking lot and LaGuardia Airport parking lot. So I interviewed them, and then they gave their perspectives, and then they appreciate what we are trying to do. But now, like, we are in the timing of delivering the real result, like attracting more users and the demand for the drivers, and then. While there are some drivers appreciating what we are doing, and then also some drivers are also complaining as well. So that's actually a very normal process. So at the beginning stage, 0% commission is actually very much promising for them, and then drivers are joining the platform. And then after opening the service, we are not burning cash. So demand is not going to come like, enormously at the beginning. So then drivers actually start having a question and then start complaining. And then somehow people start trying 1 and 2 and 3 and 100, and then it's actually start taking off. And then drivers start believing it. And then that we grow even further. So that's how, so every market we do this way. Yeah.
Yeah. How many rides is this something because it's private? Do you talk, how many rides have you already had in 2026? Do you talk about these numbers? Or do you keep that private?
2026, like, what? It's like a couple tens, hundreds of millions. It's quite a lot of trips we did overall, like a whole.
Yeah. So you're developing the receipts and the proof that, hey, this really works.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So
our model is really working. Yeah.
Yeah. So your biggest unlock now is signing up drivers to the platform, correct? Like that's the marketing push.
Right. So that's actually relatively easy job. But that next one is actually convincing riders to come to our platform. Because drivers, when you are having a headache, you immediately think that, I need a Tylenol, right? So we're actually giving the painkiller to our drivers. 0% commission is actually a very good, extremely good painkiller for them. But riders, 0% commission, so what? What am I getting?
Correct.
So we need to actually explain them. Because of 0% commission, we can lower the fare like 20%. You can save, let's say, $10, $20 for your martini tonight. Then they need to try the service, right? So that needed time.
Are there drivers who will use and work on multiple platforms? Can they do it? Is it illegal for what the agreements they sign for these other, if they drive, so they can drive for all the platforms?
Of course. We don't force anybody. It's an open platform. If you don't want to work with us, that's totally fine. If you want to work for the other platform, that's totally fine. If you want to work for both, totally fine. It's a free market. Yeah.
What do you think the response is going to be from your SWOT analysis? What do you think the response is from the big players? They have all their money. What's their defense mechanism? What do you think they do and react as you continue to grow?
What they are going to do is two things. First, immediate thing is they're spending money to slow down our acquisition of demand. So make people believing that their price is relatively cheap or similar like us. So that's one of their tactic for sure. And second one is going to be they're going to play with the pricing.
Back in where I'm here in Cincinnati, it's in Ohio, where Ohio and Kentucky come together. We had this same thing happen in the 1990s. So we had in the airline business.
Sure.
It's proven everybody can go out there. So there was the largest regional airline in the entire country was a company called Comair. I don't know if you know the story.
Yeah.
And so Comair was out of CBG. And because of that, at some point in the 90s, I believe that the Cincinnati Northern Kentucky International Airport had more flights than any other airport in the country before Atlanta took. Yes. So then Delta acquired Comair. And then because of that, then they dominated, I think something like 70 or 80% of the flights coming out. And then they acquired Northwest Airlines. And so then Cincinnati stopped becoming a hub. Northwest became a hub, or Minneapolis became a hub because that's where Northwest was out of. And then Atlanta was. And then they reduced and cut a ton of flights. But here's what happened though in the early 2000s. Every time a discount airline would try to come into Cincinnati and start flights, Delta would slash their prices on the same routes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. And so it was all temporary. It was all temporary. And it's a disaster from consumers because then the moment that the discount operator airline had to shut down, what do you think Delta did with their prices then? That's it. Yeah. 100%. So the model for the discount airline said, let me always be a discount alternative for you, the consumer. If we survive, we're going to balance it. Not only are we going to give you a better option, Delta's going to have to bring their prices down some.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know if that's similar to what we're talking about, what they'll try to do, but I'm sure it is.
It is the same thing, but the point is we can survive. The point, your story point was they didn't survive.
Correct.
If they managed to survive, it would have been a different story. Delta cannot do it forever.
Correct. And now there's Frontier, now there's Allegiant, now there's Southwest. So eventually consumers won.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
That's what we are putting ourselves into the center of as a network and infrastructure. So as long as we manage our operation lean and efficient, but also at the same time, those convincing the drivers as a network owner together, we're not going to die.
Yeah. So good. So right now in this country, anybody who wants to use TADA, can we just use it where? Just in New York City and Denver right now?
Right. So now New York City is Throo, Denver, Throo users can use as well. We're looking into expansion for fourth quarter into DC and Philadelphia and Boston. We're looking into it, and then we're applying the license right now. Yeah.
Okay, so it's coming.
Yeah, it is coming.
Okay, so right now you can download the Throo app in Denver and New York City and use it and engage with your company right now.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And then in the fourth quarter, third and fourth quarter, when they come to DC and Boston, when they come to those cities, will it be instant? Like the moment that you launch, download the app, use it there, and it'll feel from a consumer standpoint, we can usually, based on what we used to pay, because the big boys might drive down prices, but based on what we used to pay, it'll look like it's more favorable and more affordable for us.
Exactly. Yeah, it's going to happen that way. So before opening service, here's the process. We apply for the license, we get the license. While I'm getting the license, what I do is actually I'll go to DC and then start talking to drivers, like maybe a month. DC should be a month should be good enough. And then make everybody's ready and then drivers ready. And then once we open service, then it's just happening like all at once. Yeah.
All right. So here's a question that a pointed question about the future of this. So as a consumer, let's say we download Throo, we're using the Throo app. At some point you gain market share of 8 to 10 to 15%. What drivers said, hey, it's all great now, but you're going to take it back in the future. Now, as consumers, how can we have the confidence that then the prices don't then go up once you've established, once we're bought in, that all of a sudden you don't change from being a good, better option for us to look similar to the other providers?
The promise would be good enough to convince people that I promise you we're not going to raise the price. It's just simple words, right? But what we are trying to do is actually we record all this information into blockchain. Once you implement this into the, let's say, smart contract and such information, it cannot be changed without having the public consensus. So those kind of way that we can actually implement into it. So, but again, like our past track record, for example, like since 2018 and until now, we're the cheapest player in Singapore. Yeah. And in all other regions as well. So the point is like, we don't have any motivation to increase the price because we don't take cut of a percentage, right? So increasing the price, the motivation of increasing the price is actually those big giant platforms. They do have a lot because they need to take a lot of commission. So that's the way they can actually make a profit. And then with that profit, they're going to buy a lot of AV and then they're going to ditch the drivers.
And here you go. So the big question to wrap this up, even though you want people to go to the website, check out the app, even if it's not to your city yet, it's coming. Then how do you guys make money?
Very good question. So every single transaction of the trips, there's a small fixed fee. So fare below $20, for example, below $20, 50 cents. Fare above $20, $1. That's it.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
It makes sense why you have 50,000 new drivers.
Exactly. Yeah.
So good. All right. Give us your final sales pitch for drivers, for consumers to use it, other than just Kay just being such a nice guy, other than he's not going to quit, other than he's going to fight and it's on the blockchain and we're not going to change pricing. Give us the why, because what's so important now, which we found with consumers, Main Street businesses are becoming so much more relevant and important and valuable to us than Wall Street businesses. And so give us the pitch on why to engage, participate, partner, why you versus all the other folks in the same business.
Okay, let me put it this way. If you care your family, your uncle, or your father, or your mother, you need to actually be aware of what you're using. If you use one service that actually extracting a lot of money from contributors' pocket and then make themselves rich, that's not going to change the whole world. That's going to change only those rich person's life. But if you manage to find the right service, but same quality of service that you're going to get, but in a way you can actually support your uncle, could be your uncle or your friend's uncle. Those people can also make a good living, and you can also enhance the livelihood of those drivers, right? But also at the same time, you can save. Like win-win for everybody.
All right, this is good. All right, man. I'm pumped to watch it evolve. I'm glad we finally got to talk. We had trouble connecting, but this is good. Is the best way to keep up with what's happening with your company if you're not in our city? Jump on your website, follow you on social. What's the best way we can track what you're building to watch when you're coming to one of our cities?
So we do have actually a TikTok channel and then X account and the Instagram channel. And then actually I'm getting a lot of messages from drivers from Chicago, Minneapolis, and then what they're saying is like, can you bring our service? Can you bring your service to my city? And then I'm willing to help you. So that's the message that I'm getting. So any drivers from your town, for example, just let me know. And then for sure, like we're going to go there. 100% sure.
100% sure. Only to the big cities? Only to the big cities?
It's not only to the big city. So now like New York is the it's like really, really biggest challenge for us. And after New York, expanding to other cities and, states is just only a matter of time.
Awesome. All right, man. I'm glad we finally got to connect.
Sure.
Much success on what you're building and helping other people become wealthy and developing more entrepreneurs. And good job sticking with it, man. You did something during that period when it was really hard and it looked like your business couldn't survive. Kudos to your family. Kudos to you, your business partners, that you stuck with it, because every entrepreneur, everyone I know, goes through a moment like that, if not multiple. Yeah. A lot wave the white flag, a lot quit, but those that continue on, they end up usually building something very beneficial for them and their families, but then building a special product for the marketplace. So kudos and a high five for you sticking with it and building this, man.
Sure. Thanks, Mark. And I really, really appreciate your question. This is actually, I enjoyed this conversation a lot. And then you touched the very, very, critical points of what I have inside. So yeah. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, man. Thank you for taking the time. Now get back to work. We need this in Minneapolis and Chicago.
Sure. Sounds good. All right, man.
All right, man. Thank you.